This week on the Modified World, we're going to bring you high nostril essentials. Just stick around. So welcome to the Modified World, the weekly web show about body modification, the people who do it, people who get it, why it matters. Of course, I'm your host, senior piercer at the world-renowned PANGEA Piercing in beautiful downtown Ann Arbor, Michigan. That's right, I'm G.C. Potts. This week, we're going to be talking a little bit about the basics of high nostril piercings. So nose piercings have gotten to be super popular. Nostril piercings anymore don't even get people to bat an eye. Septum piercings, thanks to Rihanna and Scarlett Johansson and other cultural factors, have gotten to be super popular too. So nowadays, really, if you're not looking to stretch big holes in there or anything like that, the next step up, high nostril piercings. They can be a little trickier to do. And while any nose piercing really likes to be perpendicular, with high nostrils, there's not a lot of tolerance. They really like to be perfectly perpendicular. As far as placement goes, of course you're not going to go so high as to get like into, the hard tissue all the way up here. More down a little bit lower, a little bit higher than you would do a nostril piercing, but not quite up into the craziness. As far as technique goes, there's a few different ways of skinning that cat, so to speak. You can go outside in with a blade needle or tri-bevel needle into a receiving tube. I think that's probably the most popular method. You can use a O needle or a biopsy punch and go outside in into like some sort of backing receiver thing. A lot of people just use a popsicle stick with a piece of gauze wrapped around it for that type of purpose. You can clamp them with a pair of Pennington forceps and carefully pierce in like that. You have to be very careful not to over penetrate. But, that's my preferred method. I wind up having good results with it, but I don't necessarily micromanage the idea on how to exactly get the hole put in there. Sure, it's important, but somewhat less important than having things properly placed, perfectly symmetrical, and let me tell you, that's really hard. That's a lot of where the time actually involved in a high nostril piercing goes in is marking, and remarking, and moving the head around, dropping the head down, looking back up, bringing other people in to look at the marks. It's easier to move a mark than it is to move a piercing. After that, then of course, thin method, because it, once again, needs to be perpendicular. They are a little slower than your average piercing. A nostril should be pretty quick. High nostril, expect it to be a little slower, maybe a little more, care and stuff exercised for it, because once again, the stakes are pretty high on it. It's not one you want to have to take out and redo. As far as jewelry goes on them, you can use a classic nostril screw, although you'll find that they're pretty uncomfortable to put in and even a little bit tougher to keep clean. My preferred piece of jewelry on it is a small labret. Either one of the popular threadless designs or one of the more popular threaded designs. I'm not so much concerned about that as I am implant grade, properly sized, and once again, very perpendicular. Aftercare for them, pretty much how you take care of a nostril piercing. I tell my people to just keep your hands off it, keep the crusties off of it, wash your hands before you have to touch it. Clean it with mild alcohol-free liquid soap if you feel like that's something you need, or you can use a saline solution, soak them once a day or twice a day. Bottom line is your local piercer is going to know probably what's best for the climactic conditions in your own area. So of course, seek out an experienced professional, A, because once again, aftercare is important, and B, like I said, these things aren't a joke, and while they're not terribly dangerous or anything like that, it's pretty easy to make them look pretty wonky. So when you're selecting a piercer to have these done, well, ask to see. Have they done them before? How did they look? Were they perfectly perpendicular? Be judgmental. because you only get one shot to do it right, and you don't want to have to redo them. So now we get to the part of the show where I answer some of the more intelligent questions from the audience. Last week, Starbright06 asked, "Hey JC, I was just curious. I've gotten a cartilage piercing on 3 different occasions, and no matter what I did to try to heal it, it never did. Even going to a piercer who was an APP member and wearing BVLA jewelry didn't help. Is it possible that cartilage piercings simply don't heal for some people?" Good question. I think you'll get some debate on that. As far as my opinion, well, I'm thinking that there's probably something else happening. Of course, people bear some responsibility for the piercing after they leave the shop. Say you have a cat, say it sleeps with you. Well, that could possibly be contributing to the lack of healing. I'm not sure exactly what sort of aftercare you're following, but of course, a poor aftercare regimen can contribute to things not healing. About brand name jewelry too. Well, this is something that I've found is getting to be a bit of a problem. You get lots of folks that either in a hurry to get a cool picture for Instagram or wanting to make an expensive upsell will maybe use some jewelry that might not necessarily be the right size or the right style just because it was expensive, and they're able to put the sweet hashtag all gold everything on picture when they put it out on their Twitter or their Instagram. Once again, too, just because somebody has membership in some kind of professional organization doesn't necessarily mean that they're a good piercer. You still need to look at portfolios, find out about professional reputations, ask around. I made a video actually once about how to select a body artist that shed some more light on that type of situation. But like I said, long story short, good jewelry, good piercing still can only be part of the issue. Aftercare is very important. So without knowing more about it, I'd be kind of hard pressed to figure out exactly what was going on. But that said, though, it sounds like you did everything you could to minimize the chances of having a problem. I would say go to your local good piercer and ask them why. Maybe they can shed some more light on it and be able to have the back and forth discussion about exactly what's happening in your unique situation. Thanks for the question. Starbright06 is going to get a sweet swag pack sent out to her from us. So leave me a question in the comment section down below. If it's intelligent, if it's a good question, or if I just like what you had to say and I read your thing on the show, we'll send you a swag pack too, anywhere on the globe. That's right. We love you guys. You're what made us keep doing these happy videos, spreading the information about the good word, about good body modification. So, anyway, that was my show this week. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something, possibly moderately entertained. If you haven't subscribed yet, you probably want to, as we do this every week. So, throw me a subscription and be sure to stop by next week for another episode of The Modified World.